Imagine reaching into an old jar of pennies and pulling out a coin that quietly lived through World War II. A penny that passed through wartime hands, busy factories, and a nation under pressure. Most people would spend it without a second thought. But some collectors know that one small detail can change everything. Today, we're talking about the 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin with a story far bigger than its size. The 1942 Lincoln penny is a 1-cent coin made in the United States during one of the most intense moments in American history. When a penny from this year has no mint mark, it means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the main mint of the country. Millions were made, but not all survived in the same condition. And not all are equal in the eyes of collectors. To understand this coin, we need to go back to 1942. The United States had just entered World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Factories shifted from consumer goods to military supplies. Materials like copper were becoming extremely important for ammunition, wiring, and communication equipment. Even something as small as a penny was affected by the pressure of war. At this time, the Lincoln cent design had already been in use for over 3 decades. It was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1942, Americans were very familiar with Lincoln's portrait on the front and the simple wheat ears on the back. These wheat pennies symbolized hard work, growth, and stability, values that meant a lot during uncertain times. The front of the 1942 penny shows Abraham Lincoln facing to the right. Above his head are the words, "In God we trust." To the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the date, 1942. If there is no letter under the date, that tells us the coin was made in Philadelphia. On the back, you'll see 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the phrase E pluribus unum at the top point. One of the most important features of the 1942 penny is its metal composition. Unlike the famous steel pennies of 1943, the 1942 cent is made mostly of copper. Specifically, it contains about 95% copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. This gives the coin its warm brown or reddish color, especially when well preserved. This was one of the last full years before the U.S. government made major changes to conserve copper for the war. Because of this, 1942 pennies represent the end of an era. Just 1 year later, in 1943, pennies were made from zinc-coated steel, creating one of the most famous and unusual coins in American history. That makes the 1942 penny a bridge between normal times and wartime emergency measures. At first glance, a 1942 no-mint mark penny might not seem rare. Over 657 million were struck in Philadelphia that year. But rarity in coin collecting is not just about how many were made. It's about how many still exist today in good condition. Most of these pennies were heavily used. They were spent, dropped, scratched, and worn down through daily life. Finding a 1942 penny that still has strong detail, clean surfaces, and original color is much harder than you might think. Coins that were saved from circulation, especially those with bright red copper color, are highly desirable. Over time, copper naturally darkens, so a penny that still looks red or red-brown after more than 80 years is special. Errors also add to the value and fascination of this coin. Some 1942 pennies were struck with mistakes, such as off-center strikes, doubled letters, or cracks in the metal called die cracks. These errors happened during fast-paced wartime production when speed mattered more than perfection. Error coins are unique, and collectors often pay much more for them than for normal examples. Condition plays a huge role in value. A heavily worn 1942 penny with no mint mark might be worth only a few cents above face value. But a well-preserved example can be worth much more. Coins graded in high mint state condition, especially those labeled red by professional grading services, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Real auction records show this clearly. In recent years, top-quality 1942 Philadelphia pennies graded MS67 red have sold for several $1,000s at major coin auctions. These are coins that look almost exactly as they did the day they left the mint. Even slightly lower grades, like MS65 red, can still bring strong prices from collectors who want the best examples. So how can you tell if you have a real 1942 no mint mark Lincoln penny and not a damaged or altered coin? First, Check the date carefully. The numbers should look sharp and even, not misshapen or scratched. Next, look under the date. If there is no letter, that's normal for Philadelphia. If you see a D or S, then it was made in Denver or San Francisco. The weight is another clue. A real 1942 copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it feels unusually light or heavy, that could be a sign of damage or alteration. The color should also look natural. Be cautious of coins that look artificially shiny or strangely colored, as they may have been cleaned or treated, which lowers value. One common myth is that all old pennies are worth a fortune. That's not true, but the excitement comes from knowing what to look for. The right condition, the right error, or the right preservation can turn an ordinary-looking coin into something special. There are also some fun and surprising facts about the 1942 penny. During this year, the U.S. Mint was already experimenting with different metals, trying to prepare for copper shortages. The decision to switch to steel in 1943 was already being discussed, making 1942 a year of transition behind the scenes. Another interesting detail is that many 1942 pennies were pulled from circulation during the copper boom decades later. When copper prices rose, people saved or melted old pennies, reducing the number of surviving examples. This makes high-quality survivors even more desirable today. Collectors love the 1942 no-mint mark penny because it tells a quiet but powerful story. It connects everyday Americans to a historic moment. This was the penny in pockets while soldiers trained, factories roared, and families listened to war news on the radio. It's history you can hold in your hand. For new collectors, this coin is approachable. It's affordable in lower grades, easy to recognize, and rich in historical meaning. For advanced collectors, it's a challenge to find the best possible example, with full detail and original color. The beauty of this penny is that it doesn't shout its importance. It whispers it. It reminds us that even the smallest objects can carry the weight of a nation's past, so the next time you see a 1942 penny with no mint mark, don't rush past it. Take a moment. Look closely. That simple coin may have traveled through one of the most important years in American history. And who knows, the one you're holding might be more special than you ever expected. Sometimes, the greatest stories are hidden in plain sight, waiting quietly at the bottom of a jar, until someone finally stops to listen. Imagine holding a small piece of history in the palm of your hand, a coin so ordinary at first glance, yet so extraordinary to those who know its story. One penny, minted in 1964 at the Denver Mint, has quietly captured the attention of collectors and enthusiasts alike. This isn't just any penny. It's the 1964 D. Lincoln cent, a coin that represents a moment in American history and a tantalizing opportunity for those who understand its unique place in the world of rare coins. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this seemingly simple coin has stirred so much excitement, and why some collectors have been willing to pay serious money to own it. The 1964 D. Lincoln penny is part of the Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin features Lincoln's portrait on the obverse or front, with the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which had been introduced a few years earlier in 1959. While the design may seem familiar to anyone who has handled pennies in their daily life, the 1964 D penny holds a special significance because of the year it was minted and the story behind it. 1964 was a pivotal year in American history. It marked a time of social change and progress, with the Civil Rights Act signed into law, Lyndon B. Johnson as president, and a nation still navigating the post-war boom. In the world of coins, 1964 was significant because it was the final year before the U.S. Mint drastically reduced the amount of copper in its pennies. Prior to 1965, pennies were composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc, making them heavier and more valuable in metal content than the pennies we carry today. This means that every 1964 penny, including the Denver Mint issues, was made almost entirely of copper, a fact that attracts modern-day collectors. The D Mint mark on the coin signifies that it was produced at the Denver Mint. At that time, the Denver Mint was one of 3 active mints producing pennies, along with Philadelphia and San Francisco. While Philadelphia coins had no mint mark, Denver coins proudly bore the D, making them easily identifiable. This simple letter tells a story of where the coin was made and, for collectors, can indicate subtle differences in production that affect rarity and value. One of the fascinating features of the 1964 D Lincoln penny is its composition and design. The coin weighs just over 3 grams, composed of nearly pure copper. The obverse features a strikingly detailed portrait of Abraham Lincoln, his gaze forward, embodying the dignity and resilience of the 16th president. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a symbol of unity and remembrance. At first glance, these coins look ordinary, but seasoned collectors know to look for details that can make a coin exceptional. In some cases, minting errors or variations can create coins that are incredibly rare. For example, slight differences in the strike, doubling of the design elements, or small flaws in the minting process can elevate a coin from everyday currency to a sought-after collector's item. So, what makes the 1964 D Lincoln penny rare or valuable? Unlike modern pennies that are abundant and of low intrinsic value, the 1964 D coins are sought after because of their age, composition, and condition. Coins that have been preserved without wear, known as mint state, are especially prized. Over the decades, many pennies from 1964 have circulated and become worn, making pristine examples increasingly rare. The combination of the high copper content, the historic year, and the limited number of uncirculated specimens gives this coin its allure. Auction records and collector sales illustrate just how much value these coins can carry. While a typical 1964 D penny in average circulated condition might only be worth a few cents above face value, coins in uncirculated or near-perfect condition have sold for hundreds, and in some rare cases even over $1,000. Certain variations or error coins, such as double dies or off-center strikes, can fetch significantly more. One notable sale featured a 1964 D penny graded at mint state 66, which sold for more than $600 at auction. These examples highlight that condition and rarity are critical factors that can transform a common penny into a high-value collector's item. Identifying a real 1964 D Lincoln penny is surprisingly straightforward once you know what to look for. First, check for the D mint mark just below the date. The mint mark should be clear and sharply struck. Examine the weight and color. Authentic coins have a distinct copper hue and the appropriate weight of just over 3 grams. For higher-grade coins, a magnifying glass can help you spot minute details like the texture of Lincoln's hair, the lines of his coat, and the tiny inscriptions on the memorial. Collectors should also be wary of counterfeit or altered coins, which can appear in auctions or online marketplaces. Trusted dealers, professional grading services, and careful comparison with verified examples are the safest ways to ensure authenticity. There are also fun and surprising details about the 1964 D Lincoln penny that make it even more fascinating. Did you know that pennies from this era were once worth more as metal than their face value? The high copper content meant that melting coins for raw metal was a tempting, though illegal, practice. Additionally, the Lincoln cent design itself has stood the test of time for over a century, making it one of the most recognizable coins in the world. Collectors often marvel at the fact that the small details engraved by Brenner, like the fine lines in Lincoln's beard and the intricate columns of the memorial, have survived decades of handling and circulation. These coins carry a piece of American history in their tiny form. Collectors today love the 1964 D Lincoln penny not only for its potential monetary value but for the connection it provides to the past. Holding one of these coins is like holding a snapshot of 1964, a tangible link to a time when life, culture, and currency were very different. For many, collecting these pennies is more than a hobby. It's a way to preserve history, to appreciate craftsmanship, and to participate in a community of enthusiasts who share the thrill of discovery. Each penny tells a story, and the 1964 D Lincoln cent has a story worth telling as we reflect on this small coin. It's amazing to realize how much history and intrigue can be packed into something so ordinary looking. The 1964 D Lincoln penny is a testament to American history, craftsmanship, and the enduring fascination of coin collecting. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who simply enjoys the story behind everyday objects, this coin offers a chance to explore the past, uncover hidden value, and connect with a tradition that spans over a century. The next time you hold a penny, consider the journey it has taken, the hands it has passed through, and the history it silently carries. Who knows? That ordinary coin in your pocket could be far more extraordinary than you ever imagined. And while the 1964 Lincoln penny may seem just like any other coin at first glance, take a closer look. You might be holding a piece of history, a rare treasure, or even a future collector's gem waiting to be discovered. The story of this penny is far from over, and every coin has the potential to surprise and captivate anyone willing to see its hidden value. The question now is simple. What stories might your coins be hiding? This 1964 Lincoln penny reminds us that even the smallest objects can carry the weight of history, the thrill of discovery, and the promise of something truly valuable. Keep an eye on your change, because sometimes the ordinary holds the extraordinary, and the next rare coin might be waiting quietly in your pocket, ready to tell its story. Imagine holding a small piece of history in the palm of your hand. A coin so ordinary, yet so mysterious, that collectors would pay hundreds, even thousands, to own it. Today, we're talking about a coin that almost every American has seen, yet few truly understand its hidden story, the 1965 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. On the surface, it may look like just another copper penny, but beneath its familiar design lies a fascinating history, rare features, and a value that could surprise you. The 1965 Lincoln penny is part of one of the most enduring series in American coinage. Featuring the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln, it's a coin that has been produced every year since 1909. The 1965 edition, however, is different. Unlike most pennies from this era, the 1965 coin carries no mint mark, which tells us that it was produced in Philadelphia. But what makes it truly intriguing is the context in which it was made, a year of transition for U.S. coinage and a time when pennies were about to change forever. To understand why the 1965 Lincoln penny is so interesting, we need to step back to the early 1960s. During this period, the United States was experiencing a shortage of coins. The rising price of copper was making it expensive to produce pennies, and the government began looking for ways to reduce production costs. In 1965, the mint decided to make pennies using a slightly different metal composition than before. The new plan was to use a thin layer of copper over a core of zinc, moving away from the heavier, mostly copper pennies that had been standard. This subtle change in metal content, though not obvious at first glance, would have lasting implications for collectors. The design of the 1965 penny remained familiar. The obverse shows Abraham Lincoln in profile, a design created by Victor David Brenner, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, a feature that had been added in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Despite the unchanged design, the coin's physical composition and certain production quirks make it stand out. One of the most unique aspects is the lack of a mint mark. By 1965, coins from Philadelphia often carried no mark, while coins from Denver and San Francisco carried a D or S. This absence might seem ordinary, but in the context of errors, strikes, and metal variations, it becomes part of what makes some of these pennies collectible. The 1965 penny is not just any coin. It's rare in subtle ways. While millions of these pennies were produced, certain versions are extremely scarce, especially those that were struck with unusual features or errors. Collectors look for coins with perfect surfaces, clear details, and correct weight. Some 1965 pennies show double die features or minor variations in the lettering that make them stand out. Others may exhibit striking anomalies due to changes in metal composition. These small differences can make a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars compared to its face value. For example, in recent auctions, well-preserved 1965 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark have sold for remarkable prices. A coin in near-perfect condition, graded by professional services as MS-65 or higher, could fetch over $500. Coins with subtle errors or exceptional luster sometimes exceed $1,000. Even among everyday collectors, there's a strong interest in finding 1965 pennies that are unusually clean, with minimal wear, as these are more likely to have collectible value. It's a perfect mix of accessibility and potential profit, which makes hunting for them so exciting. But how do you know if a 1965 penny is real or fake? First, check the weight. Genuine 1965 pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, with a smooth copper zinc layer. Look closely at the details of Lincoln's profile and the memorial on the reverse. The lines should be sharp, the lettering clear, and the rim even. Fake or altered coins often have uneven surfaces, blurry details, or inconsistent metal color. Collectors also rely on professional grading services to verify authenticity, which is a safe way to ensure a coin is not only real but accurately valued. There are some fun and surprising details about the 1965 penny that make it even more interesting. Did you know that the Lincoln penny has appeared on every U.S. coin series for over a century? That means the 1965 version connects a modern collector to over 50 years of history. Also, despite its common appearance, it was made during a time when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with cost-saving measures due to rising copper prices. Some pennies from this year even have faint copper plating over zinc cores that can develop a unique color over time, giving them a distinctive look for collectors. Collectors today love the 1965 Lincoln penny not only for its history but for the thrill of discovery. Many enjoy searching through rolls of pennies, hoping to find that one coin with perfect detail, a rare error, or an unusual shine. The coin is a tangible link to American history, to Lincoln's legacy, and to a pivotal moment in coin production. Owning one feels like holding a secret that has been hidden in plain sight for decades, a tiny artifact with stories embedded in every line and curve. Even if you're not a collector, the 1965 Lincoln penny is fascinating. It's a reminder that ordinary objects often hold extraordinary histories. From changes in metal composition to subtle minting errors, these small coins tell stories about economic pressures, historical events, and the artistry of coin designers. They also spark curiosity. What other hidden treasures might be sitting in your spare change, just waiting to be discovered? So next time you reach into your pocket or purse, take a moment to look at your pennies closely. One of them could be a 1965 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a piece of history quietly waiting for someone to notice. It's more than just currency. It's a collectible, a story, and a connection to the past. And who knows? That unassuming coin might be the key to uncovering a hidden treasure, a moment of excitement that turns an ordinary day into an extraordinary one. The world of coins is full of surprises, and the 1965 Lincoln penny is a perfect example. It challenges us to look closer, to value the stories behind everyday objects, and to imagine the journey a small piece of copper has taken over decades. Whether you're a seasoned collector or simply someone curious about history, this penny invites you to explore, discover, and wonder about the secrets that might be hidden in plain sight. In the end, the 1965 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is more than just metal stamped with numbers and images. It's a bridge to the past, a puzzle for collectors, and a tiny treasure with the potential to delight anyone who takes the time to look closely. What other secrets could be hiding in your spare change, waiting for someone curious enough to find them? The story of the 1965 penny reminds us that even the smallest objects can hold the greatest surprises. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that could be worth more than you ever expected. A simple penny, barely bigger than a thumbnail, yet hiding stories of history, rarity, and the kind of value that makes collectors stop in their tracks. Today, we're uncovering the secrets of one of America's most intriguing coins, the 1970 mint mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like any other penny in your pocket. Small, coppery, familiar. But for collectors and coin enthusiasts, the 1970 Lincoln penny carries a significance that goes far beyond its face value of 1 cent. It's a coin that marks an era in American history, showcases subtle design changes, and in certain forms, can fetch surprising prices on the collector market. The story begins in 1970, a time of change and experimentation in the United States. The Vietnam War was ongoing, the country was navigating social shifts, and everyday life included coins like the Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, had become an American staple. By 1970, the penny had seen a few subtle changes in design and composition, but it remained a symbol of daily American commerce and a collectible for those paying attention to the small details. The 1970 Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, as indicated by the small D stamped near the date on the obverse side. Its design features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front, crafted by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which had been introduced in 1959 to replace the wheat ears design. But while this penny might seem ordinary, subtle factors make it particularly interesting to collectors. First, consider the metal composition. The 1970 D penny is primarily copper, a composition that had been consistent for most of the 20th century, consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition gives the coin a distinct reddish-brown hue, which over time can develop an attractive patina. Some collectors prize this natural aging, as it can indicate authenticity and create unique visual appeal. Then there are the unique features and errors that make certain 1970 D pennies exceptionally collectible. One of the most famous is the double die error. This occurs during the minting process when the coin is struck more than once slightly off register, causing the design elements to appear doubled. On a 1970 D Lincoln penny, this doubling can be seen most noticeably in the words Liberty or in the date itself. Coins with this error are much rarer than standard pennies and can dramatically increase in value for collectors. Another point of interest is the condition of the coin. High-grade specimens with sharp details and minimal wear are always more desirable. So why is the 1970 D Lincoln penny considered valuable? While millions of these coins were minted, the combination of mint errors, high-grade preservation, and market demand among collectors has created pockets of rarity. Coins with the double die error are particularly sought after, sometimes fetching hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition. Even standard pennies from 1970 D in uncirculated condition can carry a premium, simply because well-preserved coins from this era are becoming harder to find. To put it into perspective, there have been several notable sales at auctions. A 1970 D Lincoln penny with a prominent double die error sold for several $1,000s in the past decade, while pristine uncirculated coins without errors often sell for hundreds. Coin grading services like PCGS or NGC play a crucial role in determining value, as professionally graded coins give collectors confidence in authenticity and condition. For those wondering how to spot a real 1970 D Lincoln penny versus a fake or reproduction, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, check the weight and dimensions. Genuine pennies from this era weigh approximately 3.11 grams and measure 19.05 millimeters across. Look closely at the date and mint mark. Doubling or misalignment can indicate a genuine mint error rather than a counterfeit. Finally, pay attention to the details of Lincoln's face and the Lincoln Memorial. Counterfeit coins often lack the sharpness and precision of real mint strikes. Consulting a professional or using a magnifying glass can help confirm authenticity. But beyond value and authenticity, there are fascinating details that make the 1970 D penny a compelling collectible. For instance, the subtle differences in minting techniques between the Philadelphia and Denver mints can produce variations in color and luster. Some coins exhibit a slightly darker tone due to the copper's reaction to storage conditions. Others carry the telltale signs of minting errors that only an observant eye would notice. Each coin tells a story of the minting process, the era, and even the hands that handled it over decades. Collectors love this coin today not just for its monetary potential, but for its connection to history. Holding a 1970 D Lincoln penny is like holding a small piece of 1970 America. It represents everyday life, the economy, and the ongoing tradition of honoring Lincoln's legacy. For hobbyists, it's a challenge and a thrill to find one in excellent condition or with unique errors. The scarcity of high-grade examples keeps interest alive, while the story behind each coin adds an emotional and historical dimension to collecting. Even casual observers can appreciate the charm of this penny. Imagine finding one tucked away in a drawer or jar, unassuming at first glance, but carrying the potential to surprise you. The thrill of discovery, the satisfaction of spotting a rare detail, and the connection to a broader history of American coinage make the 1970 D Lincoln penny more than just metal. It becomes a piece of living history. In the end, the 1970 D Lincoln penny is a reminder that even the smallest objects can hold great stories. From its creation in a Denver mint during a pivotal year, to its subtle design details and potential for rare errors, this penny captures the imagination of collectors and enthusiasts alike. It's a coin that challenges us to look closer, to appreciate the ordinary, and to recognize the extraordinary hidden in plain sight. So next time you glance at a penny on the sidewalk or in your pocket, think about what stories it might tell. Could it be a common piece of currency? Or could it be a 1970 Lincoln penny waiting to reveal its hidden value? The answer could be in your hands, waiting to be discovered, studied, and cherished. History, rarity, and curiosity all meet in the quiet, unassuming presence of this tiny coin, reminding us that sometimes the most fascinating treasures are found in the smallest places. The 1970 Lincoln penny is more than just a cent. It is a symbol of history, a collector's challenge, and a tiny piece of art minted over 50 years ago. Its value lies not just in its metal, but in the story it carries, the errors that make it unique, and the collectors who continue to seek it out with passion. And as long as people look closely, examine carefully, and appreciate the details, this penny will continue to fascinate, surprise, and inspire a new generation of collectors, one small coin at a time. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people passed by, never noticing its unique secret. A coin so ordinary in appearance, yet so rare that collectors would pay thousands of dollars just to own it. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1973 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. A penny that can turn a simple coin collection into a treasure trove. The 1973 Lincoln penny is part of the iconic series that has been circulating in the United States for over a century. Featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front, the coin carries a story not just of American history, but also of subtle manufacturing quirks that make certain examples exceptionally rare. Normally, pennies minted in Philadelphia during this era didn't have a mint mark, but there's more to this coin than meets the eye. Its rarity and the allure of its story have captured the imagination of collectors across the country. To understand the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, we need to travel back to the early 1970s. In 1973, the United States was undergoing a period of economic change. Inflation was rising, and copper prices were becoming a concern for the U.S. Mint. The Lincoln penny, already in its 60th year of continuous production, remained a staple of everyday transactions. That year, pennies were primarily minted in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not add a mint mark, and in Denver, which added a small D on the coin. The absence of a mint mark on the Philadelphia version wasn't unusual, but certain production anomalies from this year have made specific pennies stand out to collectors today. What makes the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny truly captivating is its physical and design characteristics. Like most pennies of its era, it was made primarily of copper with a small percentage of zinc. The obverse design features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, while the reverse showcases the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. But even among these familiar features, subtle errors occasionally occurred during the minting process. Some coins display slight doubling of the date or minor imperfections in the lettering, which can significantly increase their value in the eyes of collectors. So why is this particular penny considered rare or valuable? It isn't rare in the sense that very few were made. Millions of pennies were struck in 1973. What makes it special is the collector's market. Certain uncirculated coins, coins with perfect strike quality, or those with minor errors can command prices far beyond face value. Coins that have been carefully preserved over the decades, with no wear or scratches, are extremely difficult to find. The 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, in top condition, represents a piece of history that has survived nearly half a century, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for such pristine examples. To give you an idea of its value, let's look at some real-world examples. In online auctions and coin shows, a 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in near-perfect, uncirculated condition can sell for several $100s, sometimes approaching $1,000, depending on its grade. Coins that exhibit unique minting errors, like doubled dies or die cracks, have been known to fetch even higher prices, occasionally reaching thousands of dollars. These numbers might seem surprising for a penny, but the combination of rarity, condition, and historical significance makes it a prized item in any serious coin collection. If you're curious about identifying a genuine 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, There are a few key details to look for. First, examine the date carefully. It should be crisp and clearly defined, without any signs of tampering. The absence of a mint mark is normal for Philadelphia minted pennies, but it's important to ensure that no mint mark has been artificially removed or altered. Inspect the coin's surface for uniformity and luster. Uncirculated coins will have a bright, almost shiny appearance, with sharp details on Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Any unusual doubling, extra lines, or raised spots could indicate a mint error, which might increase the coin's value. Consulting a professional coin grader or numismatist can also help verify authenticity and condition, especially if you suspect the coin might be exceptionally valuable. There are some surprising details about the 1973 Lincoln penny that most people don't know. For example, while the Lincoln penny is often seen as an everyday coin, it has quietly been the subject of many numismatic studies. Collectors have noted that coins from the early 1970s sometimes display slight variations in color, from a deep reddish hue to a more brown tone, depending on storage conditions and copper content. Some coins also show tiny die cracks near the date or along the edges of the coin, which are invisible to casual observers but highly prized by those in the know. These nuances make even a common-looking penny a source of endless curiosity and discovery. Collectors love the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny not just for its potential value, but also for its connection to history. Holding a coin that was minted nearly 50 years ago allows collectors to touch a small piece of the past. It's a tangible link to an era before digital transactions, when pennies jingled in pockets and cash registers. The coin embodies a story of American craftsmanship, subtle manufacturing quirks, and the enduring appeal of Abraham Lincoln's legacy. Collectors enjoy the thrill of hunting for pristine examples, the satisfaction of spotting a rare error, and the joy of owning something that very few people recognize as special. In many ways, the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that even the smallest objects can hold immense historical and financial significance. From a casual glance, it may appear ordinary, just another penny in a jar or a drawer. But for those who look closer, who understand the subtleties of minting and preservation, it becomes something extraordinary. A coin that connects the everyday world with the collector's dream of discovering hidden treasures. So next time you come across a Lincoln penny, take a moment to examine it. You might be holding more than just a coin. You might be holding a story, a piece of history, and a rare artifact that has traveled decades to land in your hand. The 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than metal and ink. It is a reminder that even in the ordinary, extraordinary surprises await. Who knows? Perhaps the next penny you pick up could be the one that turns a simple collection into a lifetime of fascination. The story of the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is far from over. Its allure continues to grow as more collectors search for these elusive pieces, carefully inspecting jars of coins, boxes from estates, and piles long forgotten in drawers. It's a coin that challenges us to look closer, to pay attention to details, and to appreciate the quiet beauty of history preserved in copper. And for those who discover it, the excitement is unforgettable. A coin that whispers stories of the past, promises a touch of rarity, and invites anyone curious enough to take a closer look. The 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may seem small, but its story is mighty. It reminds us that sometimes the most remarkable treasures hide in plain sight, waiting for the patient and observant to uncover them. One penny, a fleeting glance, and decades of history condensed into a piece of metal. This is the magic that keeps collectors searching, dreaming, and discovering. Perhaps the next great find is closer than you think. Have you ever held a coin in your hand and wondered if it could be worth far more than its face value? Today, we're diving into a seemingly ordinary penny that might just surprise you, the 1991 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks just like the pennies you've seen in your pocket for years. But for collectors and coin enthusiasts, this small copper disc carries stories, history, and sometimes hidden value that can make it highly sought after. By the end of this video, you'll see why even the simplest coin can capture the fascination of collectors and historians alike. The 1991 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, a collection that has been produced continuously since 1909. The D mint mark tells us this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the United States Mint's most prominent facilities. Like every Lincoln penny, the coin features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front side, a design that has become one of the most recognized images in American currency. On the reverse, the coin carries the Lincoln Memorial design, which had been standard on pennies from 1959 through 2008. It's a coin that millions of Americans have handled. Yet among these countless pieces, some stand out more than others. To understand why this penny exists and why it matters, we need to step back to 1991. The United States was in a period of economic recovery after the recession of the early 1990s. Pennies were still primarily made of a copper alloy, specifically 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition gave the coin a warm, reddish color that has since faded in later years when the mint switched to mostly zinc cores with a thin copper coating. The penny wasn't just a piece of change. It was a reflection of the economy, of the materials available, and of the traditions of coinage that had evolved over decades. One of the reasons collectors pay attention to the 1991 Lincoln penny is its design. The obverse shows Lincoln facing right, a profile carefully crafted to honor the 16th President of the United States. The reverse displays the Lincoln Memorial, tiny and detailed, with an almost hidden statue of Lincoln visible in the center if you look closely. While most pennies from this era are straightforward and uniform, subtle differences in minting, slight errors, and variations can make some coins far more desirable. For example, double dies, where the design is struck twice slightly off-register or off-center strikes, can turn an otherwise ordinary penny into a collectible treasure. Now, you might wonder what makes the 1991 penny stand out from the millions minted that year. First, the coin is over 30 years old, which, while not ancient, is enough to make well-preserved examples rare. Collectors seek coins in mint state, meaning coins that have no wear from circulation and retain their original luster. In many cases, finding a 1991 penny in pristine condition is more challenging than you might think. Over the years, countless pennies were handled, dropped, or lost, leaving only a fraction in the perfect state that collectors desire. Additionally, some coins may have minting errors. Though not extremely common, certain misstrikes or anomalies from the Denver Mint have been noted by experts, which can increase a coin's appeal. But how valuable is this penny in today's market? Most circulated 1991 pennies are worth only a few cents, not much more than their face value. However, uncirculated coins in exceptionally high grades like MS65 or higher can fetch much higher prices. There have been examples that collectors have purchased at auctions for a few dollars to several hundred, depending on condition and rarity of any particular error. For example, a pristine, high-grade 1991 penny with perfect luster and sharp details could sell for a surprisingly significant sum to the right buyer, especially if it's part of a larger collection of mint-state Lincoln cents. While it may never reach the prices of rare 1909 or 1943 pennies, it still holds value and intrigue for numismatists. Identifying a genuine 1991 penny is straightforward if you know what to look for. First, the mint mark is key. The D is located just below the date on the obverse. Check that it is well formed, not smeared or unusual. Examine the coin's overall color and texture. A genuine 1991 penny should have a consistent copper hue, though oxidation can darken it slightly over time. Be wary of counterfeit or altered coins, especially if someone claims it has an error or extreme rarity. Errors should be consistent with what is known to appear in circulation that year, and the coin should be evaluated by a reputable grading service if there is any doubt. Simple magnification and a careful eye are your best friends when verifying authenticity. Some fun facts about the 1991 Lincoln penny might surprise you. Even though millions were minted that year, each coin carries its own microscopic story. Tiny differences in die wear, small scratches, and subtle color variations make no two pennies exactly alike. The coin's copper composition means that over time, it can develop unique tones, from deep reddish-brown to almost black, adding to its visual charm. And despite being over 30 years old, the penny is still part of a living tradition. Kids receive them in change, collectors trade them, and enthusiasts hunt for the elusive perfect specimen in rolls, jars, and coin trays across the country. Collectors love the 1991 Lincoln penny today for several reasons. It's a bridge between history and modernity, a piece of the past that is still tangible and accessible. It's also a reminder that even everyday items can become collectible treasures if preserved carefully. The coin represents an era of American minting that is now behind us, when pennies were solid copper and craftsmanship was more consistent than some of the mass-produced coins that followed. Whether it's the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of completing a collection, or the chance to find a hidden gem among common coins, the 1991 D penny continues to capture imaginations as we reflect on this small but fascinating coin. It's clear that there is more to a penny than meets the eye. From its Denver Mint origins to its design details, potential errors, and collector appeal, the 1991 D Lincoln penny tells a story of history, craftsmanship, and the enduring human fascination with coins. So next time you find a seemingly ordinary penny in your pocket, take a closer look. It might be just another coin, or it might be a piece of history waiting to be discovered. And remember, sometimes the most valuable treasures are hiding in the most unexpected places. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who simply enjoys the stories behind everyday objects, the 1991 D Lincoln penny is a reminder that history is all around us, even in the coins we often overlook. So keep an eye on your change, inspect your old pennies, and who knows, you might be holding more than just a 1-cent piece. You could be holding a story, a piece of American heritage, or even a future collectible that captures the imagination of coin lovers for years to come. The 1991 D Lincoln penny proves that sometimes the smallest objects can hold the biggest stories. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks ordinary at first glance. A small, copper-colored penny, something most of us have seen hundreds of times. But what if I told you that this very penny, minted in 1995 with a small D mark, could be hiding a story that might surprise you? A story of rarity, mistakes, and hidden value that collectors around the world are searching for. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1995 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that seems simple, but has secrets that make it far more interesting than its face value suggests. The 1995 D Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of coins honoring the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. This penny was minted at the Denver Mint, which is where the D mark comes from, distinguishing it from pennies produced in Philadelphia or San Francisco. While most people may see it as just another 1-cent coin, for coin collectors, every detail matters. The year, the mint, even the tiniest imperfections can make a huge difference in value. SOY 1995. This year marked a period when the Lincoln cent was already well established, having been in continuous production since 1909. The penny was created to honor Abraham Lincoln, the only president depicted on a U.S. coin during his lifetime who is featured for his legacy rather than his presidency. By 1995, the Lincoln penny had undergone subtle changes in composition and design, reflecting both economic needs and advances in coin minting technology. The Denver Mint was responsible for producing millions of pennies that year, and while the vast majority circulated normally, some coins slipped through with unique characteristics that collectors now hunt for. One of the first things to notice about the 1995 D Lincoln penny is its composition. By this time, pennies were made primarily from copper-plated zinc, a change from the nearly pure copper pennies minted before 1982. This change in metal composition was driven by the rising cost of copper. While it might sound mundane, this shift actually plays a role in the coin's durability, appearance, and even its collectible value. The standard design shows Lincoln facing right on the obverse side, with the word Liberty to the left and the date and mint mark to the right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial dominates, symbolizing both the man and the ideals he stood for. But what truly sets certain 1995 D pennies apart are the errors. Coins with minting errors, whether due to double strikes, misaligned dies, or missing elements, often become highly sought after. In the case of the 1995 D Lincoln penny, collectors look for subtle variations that could dramatically increase a coin's value. For example, some pennies may display doubled dies, where the design appears slightly duplicated. Others might show off-center strikes or irregularities in the mint mark. Even the tiniest difference, barely noticeable to the casual eye, can make a coin stand out in the market. You might wonder, are these pennies really that rare? The truth is, most 1995 D pennies are common, But the exceptional examples, especially those with errors or high-grade uncirculated condition, are much harder to find. Rarity in coins is about more than just how many were made. It's about survival, condition, and unique characteristics that set a particular piece apart from millions of others. A flawless 1995 D penny, or one with a notable minting error, can fetch several $100s, sometimes even thousands, depending on its quality and demand among collectors. Real auction examples give us a glimpse into the market. In recent years, certain 1995 D pennies with prominent double dies have sold for over $1,000 at auction. High-grade uncirculated specimens, graded by professional coin grading services, can reach hundreds of dollars each, even if they show no visible error. One example from a major coin auction highlighted a 1995 D Lincoln penny in near-perfect condition, which sold for over $350, a remarkable increase from its original 1-cent face value. These numbers show that even a coin we often consider ordinary can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. For anyone curious about identifying a genuine 1995 D Lincoln penny, the first step is careful inspection. Look closely at the mint mark. The D should be clear and sharply defined. Examine the date, the lettering, and the details of Lincoln's profile. Authentic coins from this era should feel solid, with a consistent color and texture. Counterfeit or altered coins might have uneven surfaces, misshapen lettering, or signs of tampering. Professional coin grading services can provide certification, which is often crucial for serious collectors and helps establish trust in the coin's authenticity and value. Beyond errors and rarity, there are fun details about this penny that many might not know. For instance, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse is a tiny architectural marvel. From a distance, it looks like a simple monument, but up close, you can see the intricate columns and the small statue of Lincoln inside. Another interesting fact is that while pennies are the lowest denomination in the U.S., they have sparked some of the highest excitement among collectors. Coins like the 1995 D remind us that even the smallest objects can carry stories, history, and sometimes even hidden wealth. Collectors are drawn to the 1995 D Lincoln penny not just for potential financial value, but for the story it represents. Each coin is a snapshot of history, minted during a specific year, under specific conditions, and traveling through countless hands over decades. Owning a rare penny allows collectors to connect with the past in a tangible way. It's the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the satisfaction of knowing you possess something that millions of people saw every day, but only a few truly appreciate. So the next time you come across a seemingly ordinary penny, take a closer look. A 1995 D Lincoln penny might just be hiding an extraordinary story in plain sight. It could be a minor error that makes it rare, a perfectly preserved coin that has survived decades, or even a simple piece of metal that reminds us of history, economy, and human fascination with the small wonders in our daily lives. This little coin, easy to overlook, is a reminder that sometimes treasures are hiding in the most unexpected places. Keep your eyes open, and who knows, your next discovery might be just a penny away. The world of coin collecting is filled with surprises, and the 1995 D Lincoln penny is a perfect example. It teaches patience, observation, and the joy of uncovering something special. While most of us will never spend hundreds or thousands on a single penny, the excitement lies in the possibility, the curiosity, and the connection to history. So, whether you're a seasoned collector or someone casually glancing at spare change, remember, that ordinary penny in your pocket may be more extraordinary than you ever imagined. And that leads us to one final thought. What other hidden stories are waiting to be discovered in your everyday coins? Could the next remarkable find be right under your fingertips, just waiting for a careful eye to reveal its secret? The 1995 D Lincoln penny shows us that sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest mysteries, and the adventure of discovery is always just around the corner. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that seems ordinary, yet could hide a surprising secret worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. A coin that most people pass by every day, unaware that it carries a rare story of mistake, rarity, and history. Today, we are diving into one of the most intriguing modern coins you might not even know exists, the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. This small piece of metal has captured the fascination of collectors across the United States, And by the end of this video, you might be looking in your own coin jar with a completely new perspective. The 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, which has been a staple of American coinage since 1909. This particular penny, however, carries a unique twist that sets it apart from the billions of pennies minted that year. To understand why this coin is special, we need to take a step back and look at the history behind the penny itself. The Lincoln cent was first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Over the decades, the design has seen small changes, but Lincoln's profile has remained the central image. By 1998, the penny had a familiar copper-plated zinc composition, which was first introduced in 1982 to replace the heavier solid copper coins. Each penny was produced in multiple mints across the country, typically identified by a small mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint generally did not use a mint mark, while coins from Denver bore a D, and coins from San Francisco, usually proof coins, carried an S. What makes the 1998 penny intriguing is the no mint mark aspect. In most cases, this simply indicates it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which routinely produced coins without a mark. However, the 1998 no-mint mark penny became a point of curiosity for collectors because of subtle production anomalies and the sheer scarcity of certain batches. That year, the U.S. Mint was working with new production techniques and adjusted equipment, which occasionally resulted in pennies with slightly off-center strikes, double dies, or other minor errors. While these errors are not always dramatic, even a tiny variation can make a coin significantly more valuable in the collector market. The design of the 1998 Lincoln penny is classic. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, facing right with the word Liberty to his left and the year, 1998, to his right. Below the year, you would typically see the mint mark, but in this rare variation, the mark is missing or slightly misaligned. On the reverse side, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design that has been part of the penny since 1959. What makes the 1998 no-mint mark coin unique is not the design itself, but the rarity created by small errors during the production process. Collectors often look for coins with subtle anomalies, and the 1998 no-mint mark penny fits that description perfectly. Some examples have a slightly doubled date, meaning that the numbers appear to have been stamped twice, giving them a shadowed effect. Others might have minor planchet flaws, small imperfections in the metal, that make each coin a tiny piece of history. Even the most minor variation can spark intense interest among numismatists, the people who study and collect coins. The value of the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny varies widely depending on its condition and rarity. A standard circulated penny from that year is, of course, worth face value. But uncirculated examples with unique errors can fetch much higher prices. There have been documented cases where collectors paid hundreds of dollars for a penny that appeared ordinary to the casual observer. Coins graded by professional services for quality and authenticity can sell for even more, sometimes reaching into the low thousands if the error is particularly noticeable and the coin is in excellent condition. This demonstrates the incredible potential of coins that are overlooked in everyday transactions. Identifying a real 1998 no-mint mark penny versus a fake or misrepresented coin requires a careful eye. First, examine the date closely. Look for any doubling, irregular spacing, or other anomalies. The metal composition should feel consistent with a modern copper-plated zinc penny, not heavier or lighter than expected. Authentic coins often have a natural patina if they've been in circulation, while counterfeit examples may appear artificially aged or too perfect. Many collectors also use magnification to check for subtle die errors or inconsistencies in the rim, which can be telltale signs of authenticity. When in doubt, professional grading services can confirm whether a coin is genuine and accurately describe any errors it carries. There are some fascinating details about the 1998 no-mint mark penny that make it even more captivating. For one, it highlights the fascinating interplay between human error and industrial precision. Coins are mass-produced, yet even in a facility designed to churn out millions, small mistakes can occur, creating unexpected treasures. Additionally, this penny is part of a broader story of Lincoln pennies that includes famous rarities like the 1943 copper penny and the 1955 double die. These coins have captured public imagination, And the 1998 no-mint mark penny is a modern reminder that history and rarity continue even in recent years. Collectors are drawn to this penny not just for its potential value, but for the story it tells. It represents a moment in time when ordinary tools and processes intersected with chance, producing something unique. For many, finding a 1998 no-mint mark penny with an unusual feature is like discovering a secret from the past hidden in plain sight. It sparks curiosity, encourages research, and offers the thrill of potentially uncovering a rare collectible in one's own change jar. Today, this coin is celebrated among collectors who appreciate both its aesthetic and historical significance. Numismatists enjoy comparing variations, studying the production techniques of the late 1990s, and sharing discoveries with the coin collecting community. Unlike older rarities that might only exist in museums, the 1998 no-mint mark penny is accessible to everyday collectors, making it an exciting and attainable addition to any collection. So next time you handle a penny, take a moment to look at the date, the mint mark, and the subtle details etched into the metal. You might be holding more than just a 1-cent coin. You could be holding a piece of history, a collectible with a story, and maybe even a hidden treasure. The 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that even in the ordinary, extraordinary stories are waiting to be discovered. Every scratch, every imperfection, and every missing mark tells a tale that spans both history and chance. Who knows? That coin you toss into a jar today might be the very one a collector is hunting for tomorrow. The world of rare pennies is full of surprises, and the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that even recent history can hold secrets worth millions of eyes and dollars. Keep your eyes open, examine every coin carefully, and never underestimate the hidden value that might be right in your pocket. After all, the next extraordinary coin could be the one you already have.